Hello, welcome back to All the Day. There's no off week this week. How about that? How are you doing, Cheston?
God, I'm tired. I thought today was an off week.
I know. I thought we were going to have 3 in a row, but
I'm not
we're
even
actually
supposed
back.
to be here today.
I'm sorry. I had to call you in an emergency meeting, but you're back. Still no Setzer, but he'll be back eventually, I'm sure. If not, whatever. So let's start with what we've been playing, huh?
Well, let's see. What do you want? Good or bad? What are you feeling, Flint?
I feel kind of bad.
It's spooky season or spoopy season if you're cute about it.
Depending on who you are, yeah.
So I convinced a friend of mine, the friend I play Borderlands with. I said, "Hey, let's try this new Left 4 Dead, this Back 4 Blood." If you don't know what Left 4 Dead is, it's I think at this point now, a 10-year-old cooperative shooting game that is kind of like if a first-person shooter was a beat-em-up. You just went through these worlds and you just shot a bunch of zombies, and it was, I would say, very lighthearted. Well, in some ways.
I would say that Left 4 Dead is not exactly obscure.
It is older at this point.
It is older, but it was quite popular.
It was quite and remains quite popular. I actually still have friends who only play Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2.
Strange.
Which I think is a little strange, but hey, I mean, the game occupies a niche that is not very popular in the industry. Until now. Back 4 Blood is the Left 4 Dead follow-up from the people who made Left 4 Dead. So Turtle Rock Studios, who you might remember from such flops as Evolve.
I remember.
Yes. So Back 4 Blood is not for me with a capital N, and I'll tell you why. The reason is that when I started the game with my friend, it immediately, within probably 2 seconds of launching into the hub world, which, that right there, that's a mistake.
That's
hub
the
world.
big old
Nope.
X.
Nope, don't like that. But
you don't
then,
need that in a shooter.
Nope. But there's immediately all these different systems to learn. So there is a deck of cards. You have like a deck that buffs your character, and it's like stat buffs, so like plus 10% to stamina, or plus 20% to ammo capacity, plus 10% reload speed, all these things. And all the font is really small, and there's a lot of cards, and it doesn't like tutorialize it very well. It just kind of throws you in and says, hey, here's this stuff. You should equip some of these. And you can't play until you do it, so there's no like opt-out clause.
Oh.
Then there was also there was some other perks you could get, like a whole nother system that's meant to, again, help your character progress, which all of these things are immediate turn-offs for me. I came to Left 4 Dead back in the day because it was just a really easy pick-up and play game. I still play it every once in a while with our friend Goosey, who came on the show a few times. And, we'll still play it every once in a while because it's just a really simple game to load up and do, a section of the campaign. But this game is not. It just isn't. It isn't very friendly for pick up and play. Our playthrough was very involved. I will say that I thought the shooting was really good, and I thought having the melee weapons, which I know were added in 2, but I thought those had a nice satisfying thud to them. So I definitely enjoyed parts of it, and I thought the scenarios were overall decently fun, and a little more challenging than I remember Left 4 Dead being. But there's just a lot of stuff on the periphery that made me never want to play the game ever again. I just really don't want experience points, or, this doesn't have experience points, but it has those cards. And so I don't, to me, I know there are people, especially young people, who like to play the same game 30 times, for months and months on end, and so they need these artificial ways to progress themselves in the game and keep them engaged. But I don't want that. I'm too old for that. I don't have time for that. So this is probably the last time I'll play or talk about Back 4 Blood. Sadly, because it has potential. It's decent, but I just hate everything around it.
Well, I mean, those sorts of games I feel play better as short bursts. You should be able to pick up and play right away.
Yes, and it has the milieu of a mobile game, and I don't know that it has microtransactions, but the game has the aesthetic of a thing that has microtransactions.
Oh, I don't like that.
Microtransaction chic,
Yeah.
Just so much going on your screen, and when other characters pick up currency, you get a little currency pop up on the screen, and it just felt like one of those gross exploitative gotcha games that you might play on your phone from time to time.
I just don't think every game needs RPG mechanics.
No, especially not something that's like Left 4 Dead, because people have played Left 4 Dead for years without those mechanics. They
No.
just like the game. So, whether it was multiplayer or single player, they just thought it was a fun game and they kept playing it.
There are some games where simplicity is like way better than like making things complicated.
We'll talk about it later, but we've been playing Mario Party 2 for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have like a progression system that keeps us coming back. It's just a fun game to play with friends.
Yeah, it's fun.
And that's what Left 4 Dead was. And this could have been that. And it is to an extent, but it's not what I want. And also, I should say, I think it's bland in terms of aesthetic, because the original Left 4 Dead went after pulpy horror movies. Like every campaign was like a parody of some kind of traditional zombie movie setup. You had movie posters, and then at the end you had like an epic escape sequence,
Yeah,
and then you
really
had a
neat.
credits thing that showed like who survived and who died. And that stuff was fun. And we did not get to finish one of the like sections of the campaign. It's a lot longer now, so I don't know, which is another problem. I don't think it should be longer, but that's every game these days.
Well, the old length was pretty solid. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it was like what, 2 hours maximum for a
Yeah,
level.
yeah. So that game was a bit of a bummer. My friend already uninstalled it, so
Well, I hear
think
a lot of
that's-
people like it. So
yeah, I bet they do. But they also like Destiny, so whatever.
yeah, so what do they know?
Yeah, it's just young people who have infinite time to play games, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I have infinite time in theory, but
You don't have infinite time compared to
No.
these people.
No, but I also I also vastly prefer single player games. So
Yeah, that's true. This isn't really your thing, and it's not my thing either. So there we go. That's Back for Blood. So bit of a bummer. I'll try and perk it up a little bit and just talk a little bit about Metroid Dread, which I finished to 100% completion.
yes, I was very impressed. You finished the game in under 10 hours with 100% completion.
I did.
Very impressive. And no
and
guides.
No guide. I only had one hint on a Shine Spark puzzle, and I don't feel bad about it because it was a mechanic. They don't explain a lot of what you can do with the Shine Spark, so a lot of this discovery, and I just didn't have time to keep running back and forth trying to figure something out. So, whatever. I love Metroid Dread. I think it's easily my favorite game this year so far. It is maybe my favorite game in a decade or more.
Well, let's slow down here. That's
Well, I know it's
praise.
it's recency bias, of course. I know that it could change, but I can't think of a game that I think plays better just from beginning to end. And when I 100%ed it, it was very different from like Skyward Sword, where I did that from a weird academic sense of obligation. Like I need to understand this Zelda fully, so I'm gonna see every bit of it. But I stopped having fun with that after a while. But Dread was like, no, I'm just gonna get 100% because it's just fun to move around this world and to find these hidden little crevices. Like I just really liked it, and I never really had a point in the game where I thought it was a slog. I thought for that 10-hour runtime, it was continuously challenging. A lot of people have drawn comparisons to Super Metroid, and this is the only time I've played a Metroid game and thought and wondered if it was better. So I actually loaded up Super Metroid, and I'm about halfway through that. And I don't know. They're very different. Super Metroid is a lot slower, more methodical, which is kind of more of my pace these days. So in that way, I think it's pretty great. But I mean, Dread controls so well, it's a little hard to go back to things like pressing the select button to toggle missiles, which feels really clunky compared to Dread.
I also have been playing some Metroid Dread. I think you said I'm about 33% through or something like that. I'm like less good at Metroidvanias than you, so I'll sometimes get lost, and I'll have to consult a guide like this to get basic directions of where to go. But I also think the game does a good job of kind of guiding you on where to go, because like they'll block off certain areas, or you'll like exit a place and you'll be deposited in the rough vicinity of where you're supposed to be going next.
Right, and the best advice I could give anybody is that when you get to like a tram or a elevator, You just always take it because usually the game gets you there for a reason.
Yeah, my thing is like I need to just like wean myself away from like anytime I'm like lost, I'm like, all right, pull up a guide. Like I need to stop doing that and just explore.
Well, that sometimes that can be a drag in some games, but I think Dread's fast enough that it's not too bad.
Yeah, there are segments in there where you're just zipping from place to
Hmm.
place. It's nice. I thought it was funny. Like I finally leave like the first area and I am on the place with all the heat. You go there and like you're not good enough. Like you have to immediately leave to the next place and they're like, all right, well you got to get out of here. You don't have the
Yeah,
Various suit yet.
that happens a lot, and at first it was like a little disorienting for me because that map gets really cluttered really quick. But by the end of the game, I just really intuitively understood how the map functioned and didn't have that problem.
I'm enjoying it. I think it's a lot of fun. So I think you're selling it accurately.
Yeah, jury is out on whether I think it's the best Metroid. I'll let you know when I finish Super Metroid, probably today.
You gotta play Metroid 2 for the true the opinion on that.
No, I know that that's not the best Metroid. I will play another Metroid 2 remake, perhaps.
Okay.
But nothing. I will not play the original Game Boy Color game.
No, get a 3DS
Nor will I
emulator.
probably play the 3DS remake.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, Mercury Steam really took a lot of big steps with this game, and I don't think I want to play this but worse.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
think I'm spoiled by how good Dread is.
Good Halloween game. Very.
It is a fantastic
atmospheric.
Halloween game. I do stand by what I said last week. Super Metroid has a much better atmosphere, but that's okay. Dread is, you know, Super Metroid is also one of the greatest games ever made, so it's not really saying much to say that it's not quite up to snuff with that aspect of Super Metroid.
I will say that I have to take issue with Kotaku headline I saw that said like Samus doesn't have to like show no emotion to get across how cool she is. Like I completely disagree with that concept. I think
Oh,
Samus is
and
super cool in this game.
Samus is cool, and at some point Samus does show emotion, and it makes her even cooler. So I think, much like everything else that's on Kotaku these days, that is a stupid story.
Yeah, it's a questionable take because like
Yes.
when you meet Kraid, like Samus does like this cocky little shoot at Kraid, and it's like the coolest little nonchalant body motion. You can't explain it, but when you see it, it's like that's kind of neat.
It is Uma Thurman in Kill Bill-esque.
Yeah, that's cool. So
Just like cool, cold, calculated. She will kill you.
yes,
She will kill you, and she will not bat an eye about it. You are the dirt beneath her feet. It
exactly.
is tremendous. So I will close with, I said no question my favorite game of the year, but that
That's a
was
question.
until that was until Friday because we're gonna talk about Mario Party, and I'm gonna share some embarrassing feelings about this game. I felt some weird tinglings of emotion with this game that I probably haven't felt in a while.
Yeah.
Playing a game. It was a weird sensation to load up Mario Party Superstars.
It gets you right in the nostalgia right away, doesn't it?
It starts. It has the Mario Party 1 hub world, and when you go into a level, it's like going into one in Mario Party 1, falling down the pipe. You have all these mini games that you're like, oh man, yeah, Slot Car Derby, yeah, bumper balls, facelift. It's really weird, and I think what's really weird about it is that we're used to Nintendo remaking games, of course.
Yes.
Link's Awakening came out 2 years ago, and that took a beloved childhood classic and dolled it up for the modern day, and I'm very nostalgic about that game, and that felt very good. A lot of people are very nostalgic about Link's Awakening, and they've done it with other games like, all the Pokemon games, of course.
Yeah.
Like, Ruby Sapphire, Gold Silver. Like, they've remade those games, and same
They
thing.
remade
Like, oh
Red and
man,
Blue twice.
games that everybody is like really nostalgic about. But Mario Party isn't that kind of game. Like, there are people who really like it, but it doesn't get the same treatment. So there's this oddly specific feeling to this game, like it was made for me. The only thing I can think to compare it to is like if a video game studio remastered your kindergarten class, like so oddly personal to you. And every time I see something in that game, I just feel so oddly spoken to by Nintendo, even though I know there's a lot of Mario Party fans that feel the same way. but it's just weird. It's just so strange to see Mario Party treated with such overwhelming reverence.
Yeah,
Like,
respect. It's weird.
it is extremely strange. I didn't even know anybody at Nintendo felt this way about Mario Party. And I guess they do, because, I mean, these stages look amazing. These mini games look and feel amazing. Like, the little extras you can unlock are just a lot of fun for me as someone who's been playing these games forever. The mini games are just a fantastic collection of mini games. Really, not many weak links in there. Like, it's just such a fabulous package. Even the online is great. The online is great. It blows my mind.
Keep in mind when we say the online is great, we don't really play with random people.
No, but that's not the idea. You play with friends, of course.
Well, that's how
And
because we think Mario Party is not the same if you're not playing with people you know. Like if you're
no,
playing with like, strangers, it's not the same kind of game.
it's crazy how much better it is than most of their online stuff. Like everything you want to do. Like I was like, gosh, we have this situation where okay, my wife wants to play 2, so we're gonna play on the same system, and then our friend's gonna join us, and then another friend's gonna join us. Will that even work? Having 2 people on one system and then one person on each of the other systems, that works. Oh, Super Mario Party used to kick us out. What happens if that happens? Well, it saves after every turn, so if you get kicked out, you can just get right back in, which is crazy. I can't believe that Mario Party of all things offers such a fluid online experience. It's bad. It even has rankings. Like you get like online leaderboards for minigames, which is a really great touch. Like it's just I have nothing bad to say about the game. I think it might actually be the best Mario Party ever. And it's the only time I've ever played a Mario Party and thought maybe I don't have to play the 64 one. I still will, but I feel like I don't have to anymore because these really do offer the best of those games.
I have to be a little negative because we can't just be all glow and positivity here. It's just not right. It's just not on brand for us, I do have a couple nitpicks, but that's what they are, nitpicks, I wish there were more boards. I think five is fine, but these are all remake boards, so it takes less work
Yeah,
than making
5
a
is
new board by
paltry.
scratch. So I would like to see a couple more. There are some games that I think are weird that miss the cut, like Skateboard Scamper. I love that one. I don't know why that's not there. I don't know why like Platform Peril's not there, or what was it? Oh, Day at the Races, our all-time favorite, pretty much.
Well,
So
I know why that one's not there.
I know why it's not there, but it's still
I
fun.
think it's a gambling thing, isn't it? Isn't that why they would probably discourage it?
Probably, yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
unfortunately.
Because I made the comment about like why can't you like watch people play Mario Party and bet on it with like in-game currency, and then my wife said, well, it's probably gambling related. And
Yeah.
even though Smash Brothers does that, I mean, she's right. It's probably
Well, Sakurai has carte blanche. I don't think Indie Cube has quite the same
no.
level.
But I mean, outside of that, there's really not much to say. Like I like that they didn't use like Super Mario Party's editions of character-specific dice, because it wouldn't feel as classic Mario Party with those. You know what I mean? But I do wish they had stole Super Mario Party's big old cast of characters. I know that you're big on like, these are Hall of Famers and Birdo that are in this game. But I think it would be nice to get some more people in there.
Make no mistake, nobody should listen to me. My opinions are I'm very traditionalist. Like, we'll talk about something later, but, I'm very happy that when they included a lot of stuff, they included it as was from the 64 era, like with a lot of, a lack of touch-ups. That was my thing with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and that's really my thing with the N64 Online stuff. Like, I'm fine with those things being pretty sloppy, because that's how they were. And so I don't mind that. And I don't mind the roster sucking. Like, that's, to me, the roster, sucking as in less people.
It's just small.
Yeah.
But that's not a big
No,
deal.
I'm cool with that. It should be small.
They changed Peach's birthday cake a little bit.
They did.
Which is in a strange way. Like if you
I
get
like it.
if you get the Bowser space, it's actually kind of a benefit because you can loop back around to the star right away.
Yeah, but you have a guaranteed loss of 20 coins plus a good chance of getting on a Bowser space, which in this game are much meaner than they ever have been.
I mean, you're right, but I mean, if you're rich in coins, it's just a benefit.
Well, I understand it. it was surprised me that they did that.
But I do like that they've changed it where like you buy the piranha plants and they're active on 2 spaces at once.
Yeah, it makes those a little more effective than they were before.
Yes, but
Like,
as a result, they've upped the price for the star stealing coins. But
but
that's
that's hey, that's
whatever.
all right. That's good.
Cost of doing business, I'm
Mhm.
afraid. But outside of like little nitpicks, like this is kind of what you would want. I've mentioned this before, I think, but there was a 3DS game called Mario Party 100, which I was very excited about because the advertisement was
Well,
these are the
we
100
were
best mini
you were
games.
kind of excited. It was more like
I
a
was excited.
curiosity. Okay.
No, I was legitimately excited until I saw there were no boards. That
Okay.
was the thing, because the advertisement was we've put the 100 best Mario Party mini games in one game. I'm like, all right, the definitive Mario Party experience. And then they're like, no boards. Like, oh well, I'm out. Because what's the point? I'm not going to go like
Right.
play mini games.
And it was on
randomly.
the 3DS.
Well, yes, that is another little stickler. But I mean, my wife had a 3DS, so if I wanted to play that, I could have played with her. It would
Right.
have been a huge deal. But that sucked. So when I saw that, I was like, well, they should just, instead of like doing new Mario Party, just make that again, but add boards, and that's what I feel like they did.
Yeah.
I'm glad they listened to me. So-
I think I can't believe it. I was like, man, I think weekly Mario Party is gonna become a thing again, like it hasn't since I don't know, like the year 2001. Like that's the last
Yeah.
time I think that was a thing, and I think it's back. Like we have some friends. Goosey, who's on here, is a big Mario Party fan, and he loves it. And if he likes it, then that it's, they've hit the mark because he's
Oh,
he's
he's
even
the
more
king
of
of
a
nitpicks.
he's even more of a traditionalist than I am. So I
well,
think
yeah. If you thought I was nitpicking,
Yeah.
you should hear his complaints
So,
about things.
I think this game has just hit the money. It's hit the spot. Metroid Dread would run unopposed in most every other year, but this game is hitting such a sentimental spot for me. It's gonna be a real point of reflection.
I think they now knocked it out of the park. I have no honest complaints, just little things here or there. So
Indie
good
Cube
stuff.
continues to be Nintendo's secret great developer.
Well, we can roll that one back. They've got one good one.
Uh,
they got one good game.
Clubhouse Games?
Oh, true. You know what? I take it back.
That's 51 good
Right.
games.
That's 50. So man, they're really good. They're perhaps their best developer.
The Tom Brady of developers.
So we've already hit a couple of things I've been up to, namely Mario Party and Metroid Dread. So I will just touch on Mother's 3 a little bit. I started and finished that this week, as well as Earthbound. I don't really need to say much about Earthbound because I've said it before. It's a great game. Mother's 3, as you might or might not know, it's never been released officially in English. I'm playing the localization that was released, I don't know, 15 years ago at this point. A long time is the point. And it's still great. It's different from Earthbound in a way because like a lot of Earthbound's weirdness is from like observing the world and just like looking at things, and NPC dialogue is strange, but a lot of the uniqueness comes from your exploration. Whereas in Mother's 3, like a lot of that weirdness is just thrown at you in the story.
Yes.
Just
Including
very
some
zany
very
at times.
questionable dialogue in the early going.
I'm going to just talk straight up spoilers because there's many points I want to make, but the point you're referring to is when one of the biggest points in the game is that your mother dies, like straight up at the beginning of the game. Like she gets killed by a big dinosaur. And at the beginning of the game, like this guy approaches your main character at the time, this woman's husband, and she's like, I found this cool weapon for you. You're not going to like where I found it, though. It was in your wife's body. Like, holy shit. There's got to be a better way to say that. And there's a lot of stuff like that in this game. It's weird.
Has Mado ever addressed that translation?
I think he said it's accurate to what they did.
I believe it. They did a great job. It's such a funny way. It is a very Sakurai way of announcing someone's death.
They just have weird stuff like that throughout, but like despite how strange that wording is, there's stuff in that game that just like hits you hard. Like at the very end of the game, like you're playing a character named Lucas, and his brother goes lost at the beginning of the game because he's trying to avenge his mother. And so at the end of the game, like you find your brother. He's like been brainwashed. He's like a shell of his former self. And the final boss is like a solo duel between Lucas and his brother. And it's so good. Like you're fighting him, and it's like Lucas does not want to attack. It'll just say like Lucas won't fight. And then Claus is just like beating the hell out of you. And then like eventually like your ghost mom will say like, Claus, come back to me. and at some point like Lucas like closes his eyes and starts like trying to like smack him.
Mhm.
And that's when like you can start doing damage, and it's tough. And eventually, it's just like Claus comes to his senses, and he says like, "Well, I may be dying now, but at least I can like talk to you one more time as your brother." And then he says, "Well, I'm just gonna go to where Mom is now." And then it's over. And it's like, holy crap! This
That's how
is
the
like,
game ends.
well, that's how the final boss
Okay.
ends. Well, because like the big plot twist in Mother 3 is that, and boy, you should play this game because I'm just
I
telling you
know. Oh,
everything.
it's fine. I know everything about these games pretty much, but I will play them. They're good.
So the big twist you find out at the towards the end of the game is that the world from Earthbound is destroyed. Humans destroyed themselves. Most people died. There's like a handful of survivors, and they kind of wiped their own memories and like went to a remote area. And wiping their memories, what they wanted to do was like go back to simplicity. So like their life on this new island is like there's farmers basically, and there's no like commerce. There's no money. They're just living off the land.
Hmm.
And it's all ruined because one of the villains of the first game, Porky, comes back, and he's like a little brat, and he brings all that stuff to him. So they have these little not TVs that are in the way, and he brings them to everybody, and then slowly everything becomes like more like modern, like cars come around, and like people are moving to the big city, and it's like a big anti-technology game. I would even say if it was made in the modern year, people would say this is like a socialist game.
Hmm.
It's it's very interesting, but I'm also kind of glad it's never been officially localized because there
Oh
would be
well,
so many.
screw you.
No, the reason I'm going to say that is there'd be so many endless think pieces about some scenes in this game.
The
Like
Magypsies.
the Magypsies, yes, there's a scene where Lucas gains his PSI powers that is weird.
Yeah.
It is like one big gay joke.
Oh. Yeah.
And not just a gay joke, a gay rape joke.
Oh.
And that's how I know like the people begging for this game to be localized have never played it, specifically the journalists, because it would just be endless think pieces about this specific scene. Which, look, it's tasteless, but it's a different
It
culture.
is. Well, and it was what, 10 years ago?
2006
Yeah.
is when this game
You
came
know,
out. So.
different. I mean, even now, I would say that even in Japan, I wouldn't think. I mean, they get there. Certainly, there are games that take some weird turns, but I bet that would not even make the cut today. So.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
But it's 2006. So you have to understand. This was before. This was before people started to really, really dissect their media the same way they do now.
But it's so jarring. Like, there's no way this could be localized straight up.
Well,
Like they would have to change
maybe
it.
localized the same way that Stephen King's It was made into a movie.
Fair point. Fair point.
You know,
They did take out a risque scene from that too.
yes, nobody ever talks about it. They just think about
No.
the scary clown.
Yeah, yes, that's all you need to think about. Scary clown. Don't think about the weird sewer scenes.
Spooky clown scares everybody.
Mother 3 has a better story than Earthbound, straight up. But I think I enjoy the experience of Earthbound a little more. But Mother 3
My
is still a
perception
classic.
of Earthbound was always that it was more flavor than it was like a great story. Like a lot of very good flavor.
The story is in the details.
Yes.
It's how games used to be, kind of. A lot of the story is like from your own perception,
Right.
what you're picking up from this thing. Because like if I had to compare it to RPGs at the time, I would say it is less text than Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, and more text than Final Fantasy IV. So it's like a mid. I think it is. I think it's a classic, and I think most people would be well serviced to play it.
One of these days, I need Earthbound to come to the Switch online service. I just need that to happen because that's how I will finish that game, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'd also briefly like to touch on the N64 Online.
Oh yeah, I guess we should address that. I really played more of the Genesis than I did the 64.
Well, I
which
played
is
Mean Bean
because,
Machine.
which is because I'm an idiot that I have played that. But I have. That was our first video game. That was my first video game system that I really played. So I think I'm allowed.
Yeah, with N64, there's been some complaints about the emulation accuracy and input lag and whatnot. And to be honest, I don't notice that shit, and I don't care about it. I think input lag. I mean, I know it's real, like it's a legitimate thing. I'm not going to tell you like it's fake news, but I do think most people don't notice it for themselves. They go online to see like Digital Foundry or some other channels like mention like how many milliseconds of lag there is, but I
Right.
think for the general person, they're not going to notice on
Right.
their own.
Yeah, I do not know many people that have played this and had that complaint. In fact, again, our friend Goosey who still has a Nintendo 64 hooked up in his living room, has played it and said that he doesn't really notice anything. And he plays the actual gosh darn games. So
I'm sure there's differences,
yeah,
but
for
unless
sure.
you're real nitpicky or you
Yeah.
have a machine that tells you the difference.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not a
and
big deal.
everybody's seen the fog in Ocarina of Time at this point from that water temple area.
Yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah.
That is a
No,
legitimate downgrade.
I think we would all agree that they shouldn't get away with doing a bad job, but I think it's a little overblown, right?
Yeah, it's overblown. But I mean, to be fair, I haven't played OOT, so I can't comment on that just yet. I've only played Yoshi's Story,
Yeah.
which sucks ass, but it plays well. I mean, it plays I don't notice any input problems. I think Yoshi's a little slippery, but I think that's the problem with Yoshi's Story.
It's just a bad game. It's just can't fix that in emulation.
We're running a little long to get played, so I don't want to go into Yoshi Story specifics, mostly because I just don't like it. But it's a very short game, like an hour long. I've beat it twice now. I'm trying to beat it a third time because I just want to see the levels. Maybe there'll be a path where I'm like, okay, this is when Yoshi Story is good. But nope, hasn't got there yet. And the other one I've played a lot of is Mario Tennis, which is a masterpiece. It is so good.
It is my favorite Mario sports game. Well, no, maybe not, but it is one of my favorites for sure.
Well, it's number 3 for me. It's behind Mario Strikers for the Wii and Mario Baseball for the GameCube.
Right. Oh, yes. Of course, those are perfect. But yes, I miss these simpler. I told you, I think the Mario sports games were better when they were just very simple arcade sports games.
Well, this is a very to the basics game, and it's basically Pong. It's just you go to the ball, you press A, you press B.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's
a
little more to it than that.
There's a little more to it, but I mean, it's very simplistic.
Yeah,
there's no superpower.
Right, it's not as involved as the Switch one.
There's no bounce back mechanics.
Mhm.
If you're losing, you're losing. And I will also give a big compliment to computer difficulty, because the Star Cup is legitimately challenging in a fun way. It almost feels like you're playing a human of equal skill almost. Or I'm just bad at the game.
No, those games used to be hard. Like Mario Golf, the original was not easy.
But, I beat the Star Cup singles and doubles, and I just had a blast doing it. Can't recommend that game enough.
Yeah, that's another one we've been playing for years. We still play that every once in a while, and that one has held up. And it's nice that now has online play as well.
Yeah. So for next week, what you can look forward to me playing, I plan on starting Ocarina of Time. I think once I finish Metroid Dread, I want to play Super Robot Wars 30, which is a Steam game. So look forward to that. It's a tactical RPG featuring mecha anime.
Well, I'm not interested.
No, I didn't.
Hopefully Censor's back so I can just tune out during that segment.
I could just talk about gameplay. You'd be fine with that. So that's all I've been up to. All right, so I guess we can get started on the news.
That's me, Mr. News. Would you like some headlines?
I would.
All right. Well, we'll kind of stick to our timing as we did last week. Got some headlines for you. Derek, how do you feel about the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I'm not a fan.
Oh, are you sure? It's the most popular movie franchise in the history of the world. So.
Well, I was called racist for not wanting to see the Eternals. So
okay. All right.
That's one thing. But
I mean, you are, but whatever.
I am just a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine. So well, don't you wish that video games had their own Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Boy, howdy! Wouldn't that be great?
Well, don't worry about that. They're not getting that, but they're gonna get a lot more Marvel games because Marvel is in the business of licensing themselves out all over the place. You might remember such games as Eidos Montreal's Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, or the failed Crystal Dynamics Avengers game.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the failed Crystal Dynamics Avengers game.
Yes, and then there's also Insomniac's Spider-Man games, which are excellent, and the upcoming Insomniac's Wolverine, which will probably be excellent.
I have no reason to doubt an Insomniac game at this point.
Joining their ranks will be Amy Hennig and her studio, which I've already forgotten the name of. Sky.
It's not important.
It doesn't matter. Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame will be making a Marvel game of sorts. It's a original adventure. I don't know what that means. So, Derek, my question I put here in my notes is, have we reached peak Marvel?
The answer to that question is yes.
And then
A
I
long
said,
time ago.
in video games, have we reached peak Marvel?
It feels like every year now there is one or two big Marvel games coming out. Like this damn Guardians of the Galaxy game got like 85 minutes at Square Enix's E3,
Hmm.
and I was sick of it by the end of it. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be fine, but
It's out. It appears to be fine.
yeah, but I mean, I've got no interest in it really.
No.
I hate the idea of like a bunch of games being linked together. I mean, I have no problem if they don't want to release a bunch of Marvel games that are like their own separate thing. But if they start like saying like, in order to understand the plot of Marvel's Wolverine, you have to play Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, I don't think that is a risk because that would involve publishers working with each other, which
that would be difficult.
is easier now than it used to be. I don't see Sony working with Square because Square isn't going to make their stuff exclusive to the PlayStation. And so why would they open their vastly superior Marvel games to these vastly inferior Square Marvel games? Because they won't really get anything from that.
On the other hand, like I don't want like half of the AAA releases in a calendar year being Marvel.
No,
like
I agree. My stance is that video games are cooler than movies, and
Yes.
I think it makes video games look bad to keep doing this.
because I know Marvel fans hate it when people point this out, but it feels like 75% of the movies in theaters are Marvel movies, are like the big releases in a calendar year.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And if that were to be the case in video games, I think that would be, I don't know, might take me out of the industry.
Well, it's just a bummer. I mean, you'd always have indie games, which are never going to be
True.
that, and those are those continue to be pretty great. But
Well, true, and you still got Japanese
yeah,
stuff. So, I mean,
when I say video games are cooler, I mean video games had a lot of cool properties that weren't licensed. We talked about Metroid earlier, and Metroid is purely a video game thing. Would not be as good as a movie, and has no business being a movie.
no, it's already a movie. It's called Alien.
Yes, okay. Well, it's a very good game either way. It's not we don't need to borrow from Hollywood to make exciting games that are worthwhile. And sometimes it started to feel a little more like that with we have the Bond game, which I'm personally looking forward to, mostly because I think that's just a really good fit for that developer. That's the Hitman developer working on a Bond game. But then you have stuff like the Indiana Jones game, which, I don't know, it seems like a weird fit for the Wolfenstein people. I know everybody thinks thematically there's some tie together there, which there is, but gameplay-wise, it's not really a good fit.
The thematic tie is only in that there are Nazis.
Yes, in that there are Nazis that get killed, which is fine, but there's not much else there that ties those together. And a lot of these Marvel games, like, Eidos Montreal, Guardians of the Galaxy, sure, I guess, I don't know.
I think you mean Gardens of the Galaxy. That joke they've used 6 times in trailers for this game, I feel like.
Oh, God.
That was ripped from Red Letter Media, even. Like, come on.
I'm just
tired of it.
I'm just over it. Like, every time one of these is announced, at first with Spider-Man, like, that was cool, because Insomniac rules. And Spider-Man also rules. But now, at this point, it's like, whenever they announce this game as, I don't know, a Deadpool game or whatever, I'm just going to roll my eyes. What do you think this will be, anyways? What do you think Amy Hennig, what would be her best fit? I've heard some people say Iron Man, which I think would be good for her, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess Tony Stark can quip like Nathan Drake. Spider-Man would be my guess, but that's already taken, isn't it? So, I don't know.
Yeah, there'd be a little too much there for me. Having Amy Hennig do Spider-Man while the current Spider-Man in the movies plays Amy Hennig's creation in the Uncharted movies. There's a little too much synergy on that one.
Oh, they could do Captain Marvel. Why not? I don't know.
Yeah, I actually could see that. But
Because she has fun powers.
well, isn't
I
her
guess.
power just basically that she's like the best, strongest hero
She's
ever?
the best at everything.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be a very fun game.
No, that could be a really fun game. What are you talking about?
Designed by someone who's competent, but we don't know anything about. I mean, Amy Hennig was a fine director on the Uncharted games, but I don't know that we.
She's known for her story stuff
Yes.
more so than her gameplay
Right,
stuff.
and I'm pure Captain Gameplay here, so they don't have benefit of the doubt on that side.
Well, I don't give a shit about Marvel stories, so it's all about gameplay. So.
I'm with you, so yes, peak Marvel. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to say.
Sorry to say, indeed.
Yeah. Well, let's keep being sorry about things. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry.
BlizzCon is canceled.
Oh my god.
Yes, they've canceled it. They're reimagining it for the future, is what they say. But I'm going to ask you the natural question: is this the end of BlizzCon?
Yes. I mean, it should be, but I mean, like with all these controversies, they kind of like people don't even talk about this anymore. Really, there's some people that are talking about it, but
What
the
about
mass public doesn't.
Blizzard's
About
massive
Blizzard's sex
harassment issue?
scandals,
Yeah.
yeah. People are just playing Diablo 2. Like they
Are
don't
they? I
care.
haven't heard anything about that game.
My wife's sister-in-law mentioned something about playing Diablo 2. I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. So people are playing that stuff, and I don't know. Like as much as I think like people forget about, it, but I also think like Blizzard's like lose like people just don't care about them as much anymore.
Hmm.
So I think the need for a BlizzCon is just go away.
I think it's more of a problem with their production cycle right now. They're stuck in a rut, and Overwatch 2 is rapidly becoming a game that is like a running joke because it just has no sign of coming out anytime soon, and is also a little bit nebulous in what it actually offers.
It's a little
And
bit unnecessary.
right, and Overwatch is having its own problems. Like the game is basically dead, the original, unless you're like in a really hardcore group of PC players. Pretty much dead on the console side for sure. And then you have Diablo 4, which they've certainly shown, and we don't know where that is in its process. But Blizzard takes forever. I can't imagine that's coming very soon at
It's a
all,
Diablo game.
right? So I can see why they'd cancel it for those reasons. I also think it's really saving them from themselves because you can just hear the article. You can just see the articles in your head right now of like, oh, all these people are gathered at BlizzCon to celebrate these massive sexists. Like I can just see it now, and it would be a terrible look to have BlizzCon this year or this next year.
Well, yeah, it would be.
I don't think it's the end though.
They're also saving themselves from like the out of season April Fool's joke fan question sort of thing.
Right.
So
I do not think it's the end. I think Blizzard is, for better and for worse, one of those internal brands that people just can't divorce themselves from. It's just they have grown up with Blizzard and they will continue to play what Blizzard puts out and they will continue to celebrate it even if the company itself is a shadow of itself.
I would call them an infernal brand myself.
Oh.
Oh,
Well, a part of their brand now is Vicarious Visions. It's official now that Vicarious Visions, the name, is no more. They are all just Blizzard employees. So, reading the room on this one, Derek, how long do you think the essence of Vicarious Visions will last before they just become a part of the stink that is the rest of Blizzard?
yesterday.
Yeah, like you think their flavor's gone?
I think as soon as like they get absorbed, it's over. Like whatever lip service they give to them, like within like 6 months, they'll be doing like WoW patches. I don't know. R.I.P. Vicarious Visions.
Yeah. They did their job with the Diablo 2 remaster, which you say people like, and I'm sure has done success. I mean, it was certainly in the top 5 of the NPDs last month, so they did their job just like they did with Tony Hawk, and now their reward is the WoW mines, the same way that Toys for Bob was rewarded with the
COD mines.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel bad because like if there's a game deader than, well, Call of Duty's not dead, but World of Warcraft is downhill. It is not the game it
Right.
used to be.
Final Fantasy 14 has thoroughly eaten its lunch.
Yes, FF14 is the big show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think that Vicarious Visions essence will be preserved. I think they'll be swallowed up by the way that Blizzard does business, and they have a very systemic way of doing their things. They don't. It's like the when the Cardinals had the Cardinals way. There's the Blizzard way, and I don't think Vicarious Visions will fit into that for very long.
Well, Blizzard used to make all kinds of fun and different games, and now they're just like, well, we're making Overwatch again,
Yes.
maybe making Diablo 4,
Yes,
and that's it.
the Warcraft and Call of Duty company.
Yep, has StarCraft. What's that?
StarCraft? They have
Doesn't
Diablo.
exist. Well, the word craft is confusing, so they're like, well, I can't have
Yeah,
both.
I wanna. Well, nobody likes science fiction. Bunch of nerds.
No, science fiction's for losers.
We say as Dune, I have to imagine is doing, by all accounts, better than it could ever be expected to.
There's not enough jokes in Dune. I can't appreciate
That's
it.
true. That's right. There's no quips.
No quips.
We're not going to talk about this for very long, but anybody who says that you can immediately disregard them forever, that is one of the dumbest things you could ever say. Like, if you read even a little bit of that book, you can understand why they're not really just quipping around. It's not like a really happy world they're inheriting. It's pretty bad. It'd be like watching Blade Runner and being like, oh, Harrison Ford doesn't make enough jokes. Like,
well, at the end of like Saving Private Ryan, like the guy turns to the camera after the guy dies and goes, "Well, that happened." We don't need that in our movies. Come on now.
What do you think about that?
Oscar Schindler at the end of Schindler's List. Well, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed today.
Yeah, we'll save the movie talk. We actually have some movie talk later, kind of. Just for you. Actually, we can't move on from the movie talk because the last headline I have before we go into our game is the WB Multiversus or Megaversus. I'm not sure what it's called. It's got a terrible name. It's got a terrible name that sounds like the thing that Facebook is now.
Meta.
Yes. So WB is making a platform fighter, allegedly, joining the ranks of Nickelodeon All-Stars, whatever that game is called, and
Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yes, and PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, and the endless array of indie games that try to ape the Smash Brothers formula and fail. WB is going to take their crack at it with their vast IP library as seen in the new Space Jam movie.
So, seen in the Lego movie?
And also the Lego movie, yes. Most of their movies these days are taking advantage of that vast library of intellectual property. The obvious question would be, is this going to be a success? And the answer is no.
Well, it depends, I think.
Well, okay, I should say, is it going to be good? And the answer is no.
That also, it depends.
Depends on the developer, but WB does not have benefit of the doubt with me.
Well, because the reason Nickelodeon All-Stars, or whatever the hell it is, like, failed or isn't as successful as it could be, is because, like, the budget for that is, like, dirt low. Like, there's nothing to do. And, like, they have, like, 20 characters and no game modes and no variety.
And the characters don't talk when you fight, which is weird.
Like that part of the personality in Smash Brothers is the characters are kind of, faithful to who they are.
Yeah, they are the characters.
When you're playing Sora, it feels like you're playing as Sora. And whereas where you're playing Nick whatever, you watch someone play as Reptar, nothing about it screams Reptar to me. It just looks like a fighting game. But this also speaks to the issue, like, part of what makes Smash Brothers good is that it's just like a fan service game. When every single time someone tries to make, like, we're taking like the Project M gameplay and putting it into something else, it always fails every time. Like, I'm sure Nickelodeon All-Stars plays fine, but it doesn't have the same, I don't know, it doesn't have all the stuff that makes Smash Brothers good, so why would you play it?
Yeah, nobody is as good as Sakurai at that, so it's hard to live up to it.
Like, yeah, I'm sure on like a pro level, Nickelodeon whatever is fine. People that play this game aren't all pros, Like,
most
you gotta
are
get
not.
people in. Yes, so you gotta get the casuals in, and it's like that's a big process. So, in order for this WB game to succeed, they need to not only put all these characters in, but make them feel like you're playing as Gandalf or Shaggy or something. Like, you give them personality. Like, if Shaggy knocks someone out of the arena, you should say like Zoinks, or I don't know, just give him some personality.
So let's address the roster, because that was where I was going to go. So far, yes. Rumored via Jeff Grubb on GamesBeat is we have Shaggy and Gandalf.
Steven Universe characters.
I don't think that was on there, was it?
Well, it was, because the original leak came from a Melee.
Oh, LeBron James is one I've heard.
I have not heard that.
Well, I have.
Wow, we're getting all over the place. I think Adventure Time characters were also.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right. So, either way, Derek, this game has I have no interest in this game, especially with the idea that it could very well be a free-to-play type of thing. But if you were going to add a character from WB, just for funsies, who would you add?
Voldemort.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate character.
He's Master Hand.
He's so funny.
He is funny.
He's such a villainous guy, but he's so funny. He's such a comedy figure.
He's a funnier character than we've ever had before.
Exactly. Like I want his debut trailer, like Shaggy and Gandalf are fighting or something, and like all of a sudden like Gandalf's fixing to cast a spell, and you're Avada Kedavra, and then like it says Voldemort slithers in, and then they show like his whole trailer. That'd be so cool, but I just know that won't happen.
I yeah, I bet it would be hard to get J.K. to play ball.
Well,
maybe if she told them
Potter's
CD
big money.
Projekt Red was developing it. Huh?
Maybe.
Oh. Okay. So first, I would say I would like a Ian McKellen Echo Fighter. I would like Gandalf and Dumbledore, but I
Yes,
like their
I want
movesets to be the
Sauron,
same,
man.
and I also like Saruman. So we have a very Crom, Lucia, Marth situation.
Yeah.
You
Lord
know,
of the Rings should be the Fire Emblem of the game.
yes, for sure. I
Well,
don't-
this would actually be earned, by the way.
Yes.
Unlike Fire Emblem.
Yes. My reverence for WB is mostly their animated stuff from way back. So I would say Animaniacs a la the Pokemon trainer, where you have
Yes.
the three of them, you can switch between them, and they pop out of the water tower when you press down B. Down
Right.
special.
Freakazoid. Get
Yes,
him in there.
Freakazoid, Pinky and the Brain as the Ice Climbers type.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
For sure, but you can also tag them in and out, which would be cool. So,
Yeah.
The Pinky would be your heavy, and Brain would be your, Captain Olimar methodical type.
You could have two Pokemon trainers. Make Ed, and Eddie one of those.
That's not WB, is it? Oh, it is, because Cartoon Network. Yeah, you're right.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, okay. So that opens up like some cartoon characters, huh?
Because Johnny Bravo was on the leaked.
Oh, that's right, Johnny Bravo. Okay, so you'd have like that Dexter robot from the last episode of the original run of Dexter's Lab.
Before it became bad. Yes.
Yes.
Mandark as like the final boss.
Oh, Mandark, that's a good cut. I have joined the fight. Me, Mandark. Well, gosh.
Yep.
Well, then you have to have the Powerpuff Girls, the Rowdy Rough Boys as Echoes.
Yep.
I mean, that's Mojo Jojo, obviously.
Basically, we're just making a Cartoon Network fighter here.
Yeah, that's
But,
kind of where it would go for me. But LeBron James, the idea of that is funny to me. I hate LeBron James. I think he's a giant jerk, but I'd love to play as him in a Smash Brothers game.
I think he's a fraud, but the idea of like LeBron James in a Smash Brothers is very funny to
Yes.
me.
Oh, yes, for sure. Having Jackie Chan from Jackie Chan Adventures spike him
Oh,
off the stage.
you're thinking too good.
Or
That
better
is-
yet,
come
Jackie
on.
Chan's uncle from Jackie Chan Adventures. Jackie!
So it's a shame that we're like having all these like ideas of like interesting characters, and it'll be like here's Steven and Amethyst and Azul or whatever those.
Yeah, they
losers are
should make
called.
this game for old people like me.
Yes, exactly. Old people, we know what's best.
Bring me my Ian McKellen Echo Fighters, and bring them now.
It all depends on the personality of the fighters. Like if they can inject it and make it feel like there's character to these characters, so to speak, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, nice job using the word character twice.
Well, that was important for what I was saying. But my one suggestion would be to make Shaggy the meme that he is on the internet.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
The big thing he is like Ultra Instinct Shaggy. You think is where, which is just like a Dragon Ball Z reference, but it is all over the internet, so just lean into it. That's how you get people interested, I think.
Dragon Ball Z is on Toonami. Could they pull it? Is that like...
Get Goku in?
Yeah.
Well, Goku, Dragon Ball Kai was also on Nickelodeon, so like
Oh, okay.
when people are talking about like DLC characters for the Nickelodeon game, they're like, well, Goku and Garfield.
Yeah, I don't think you're
because I
getting
guess-
DLC. Sorry, guys.
No, I don't either. I don't know why, but like people were dead set on Garfield being DLC for that game because I guess it's like popular to ironically like Garfield now. And don't listen to those people. Don't
Okay.
listen to them. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong.
Well, okay then. Let's. How would you feel about playing a game?
Let's do it.
Chesto could not make it. He's stuck on his Southwest Airlines flight from France. I don't know how Southwest got all the way over there, but good on them for expanding their horizons. But they're having a tough time. Everybody's traveling for the Halloween season, as they do. So instead, I've got a different guest. Would you like to speak? It is I, God.
Oh, hey, God. How
I
you doing?
I am disappointed in you and
What
all
did
of
I
your
do?
kind.
Oh, well, okay, that's fair.
There should have been a second season of the Clerks animated series.
Well, I agree with that. You don't gotta blame me. Blame America.
But Kevin Smith should not be allowed anywhere near it.
Man, you're pretty cool,
He,
God. I gotta be
he has
honest
sinned.
with
He has smoked the wacky tobacco.
you. You smoked a lot of it.
Anywho, I grow antsy in my kingdom above the sky. I feel the need to smite or to welcome to the pearly gates. So I need
Okay.
you, gentlemen, to decide if these fine folks or not fine folks are saints or sinners.
Okay.
Okay, be aware that what you say sticks. So whoever you condemn to hell will stay there in real life.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Let's start with Bobby Kotick.
Hell, 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 hell.
Bobby Kotick has taken a pay cut in response to the recent controversy with his company. Do you think he is a saint or a sinner?
Sinner. Sinner. He's so unbelievably rich. What does it matter at this point? Like, he has enough to buy the world over like 5 times. Who cares?
I think it's a fair point. I think, when he's like, I'm going to take a pay cut to $65,000. First, might I add, that's more than I make. So, no simpy here. And I live in a very expensive county, so really, really not feeling sorry for the guy. And this is very obviously like a very self-saving move. There was a lot of talk that his own board thought he was extremely overpaid. Add on to the fact that his company's terrible and toxic and all that. Like, the least the man can do is take a pay cut.
This guy's a billionaire.
I mean, honestly,
Like,
I think he should commit seppuku if he really wants to make the world a better place.
well, I mean, the thing is, like, this reminds me of like when Iwata cut his pay to like $1 when Nintendo was
Yeah, but you know what?
struggling.
I believed it when Iwata did it.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. It didn't feel like oh no, our company is the sex pervert company. We need to do something about it. Here, cut my pay.
And he's like, oh, I'll get rid of the forced arbitration. You can file your own lawsuit with real courts and not our little cowboy courts that we run inside of Activision. But again, that's like the bare minimum. Like, this dude should be doing a lot more. He has a strict no harassment policy. Okay, yeah, welcome to every company in the world. Yeah, it's a school with a no bullying policy. Nobody has a bullying policy, you asshole.
Yeah, I saw like we are introducing a new zero tolerance sexual harassment policy. I'm like, well, yeah, that's good. That's what my work has. I imagine I would get fired for one infraction.
Yes,
So
yes, and a lot of places would. So I say, Bobby Kotick, you are going to hell.
I agree. Goodbye.
Okay, I smite thee. My work is not done. Are you boys tired of banishing people to hell?
No, I want to keep doing it.
Okay. Well, consider Squaresoft. Oh, wait.
No, no.
When did they become Square Enix? What the fuck
Oh.
happened there?
God, you're very foul
I'm
language.
very disappointed. Did that Final Fantasy movie flop?
Oh boy, I got some bad news for you.
I haven't caught up with Hollywood. I'm still stuck in the 1970s.
Next, you'll tell me Harvey Weinstein's got a line to you.
Oh, don't. Oh, any.
Don't tell me Harv.
Oh no. Okay. Well. Anyways, SquareSoft has announced that the Star Ocean series will return. Does this make them saints or sinners?
Oh man, this is so stupid. Like, why would you bring this crap back? Star Ocean has had 2 good games by my count in over 20 years, and that's 2 and 3 for the record. Some people say 1's good, but it's just like fine.
Isn't that like a Super Nintendo game?
Yeah, it is.
Hey man, these games suck. What?
Yeah, like Star Ocean 4 is bad. Star Ocean 5 is a little bit better than bad, but it's not good. It's barely okay, and it's like 12 hours long, which is pretty putrid for a JRPG.
Is 3 the one with the really fun twist?
3, yeah, 3 is the one where it's a video game. So I like 3. There's people that don't like it, but
Boy, if you don't like 3, then what do you have left to like?
Two's the one that everyone kind of agrees
Okay.
is like the top of the.
I don't understand. I don't know anybody who loves Star Ocean. I know you enjoy them, but you also play every JRPG series, and I wouldn't say it's even on your top 10. Like, I'd say it's it's
No,
one you play
it's
more because it's a JRPG. So I mean, someone has to play it.
yeah. Someone's got to put their opinion out there.
Yeah.
Well, it's more of a frustrating thing because like Square's got some dead
I don't know,
franchises
like
that I
Chrono
would like to
Trigger.
see. Yeah, I would like to see brought back, like Chrono Trigger, as you said.
I
And
like Vagrant Story. Have they made one of
shut
those
up,
in a
God.
while?
No,
Yeah. Threads of Fate?
no, absolutely not. No one even knows what that is anymore.
I know.
Oh, well, good for you. So it's kind of like frustrating. Like, I'd like to see a different franchise, but from looking at the gameplay for this, it doesn't look like a Star Ocean to me. It looked like Xenoblade, I should say, where it's like a more of an open world sort of game. So if they copy Xenoblade, I think that it'll turn out good because Xenoblade 1's pretty fun.
I think
So
whoever is in charge of Square should go. I think they should get someone. They should hire a new coach. I hear Jim Harbaugh's going to be available soon.
yeah, I hear that too. Yeah,
So maybe he could really turn that ship around.
get
Go
Bill
back to
Belichick
basics.
in on Square.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't. I don't get this decision. I say Sinner. What about you?
Oh yeah,
For not making a new Chrono Trigger alone. I mean,
yeah.
that's
Like I know Chrono Trigger 3 or whatever you
Chrono
would call
Break.
it, or Chrono Break, Chrono 4. If you're a crazy person and consider Radical Dreamers a Chrono game, I'm sure it would suck, but it would be nice to at least try to make one.
Hey, put the Tokyo RPG Factory on it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do a great
Yeah,
job.
that's what they do. Just churn them out. Okay, my smiting hands they tire. So, next we have In D Cube, the makers of the Nintendo Oh no, not the Nintendo GameCube. I'm sorry. Their name sounds like it. They make the Clubhouse games, one of my favorite 2020's game of the year. They also made Super Mario Party and Mario Party Superstars. But they brought back a joystick spinning from the N64 games. Does this make them saints or sinners?
Well, this might be a controversial take, but I say this makes them saints.
I agree.
They're bringing over a shitty minigame with a shitty gimmick, and instead of changing it up, they're keeping it. And I kind of respect it, you know? Like you're keeping it real.
I have to say, the audacity to bring back joystick spinning on a console that is notorious for having issues with its joysticks.
Takes balls.
I just have to respect that move.
I love that there's like a warning when that minigame pops up that says don't spin
That a
with
lot
your
of people are going to
palms."
ignore.
I ignored it. I was like, palm away, baby.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people will, and I bet people will buy that 64 controller and also do it there.
That's the way to go.
I mean, that is certainly the most efficient way to spin that joystick.
So I respect the gumption.
I do.
think
It is a crazy move.
it is some might say a dumb move, but I like it.
If you had asked me like to bet money on it, I would have said there's no way they'll include those mini games at all, and if they do, they'll be button mashing. But no.
Well, I would have bet the farm that one would not have returned, but it's there.
And I would also like to say that having the characters dress up in the Bowser suit still looks hilarious, and I think they're saints for that too.
Well, they're not saints for not letting you hang around the game board in your costumes like in Mario Party 2.
That's true. All right. Well, I don't want to tire God out too much, so let's give them a pass.
I agree with that. I'm down for them.
Okay. All right. God, you've been spared. Oh, that's my job, you silly human.
You silly goose.
Anyways, finally, we're going to talk about Netflix, who I do so love. I find those Stranger Things children to be so charming. Do you know when Season 4 is coming?
I hope never.
Oh, did you not love Season 2?
No.
Oh. Well, I personally thought Season 3 was a return to the classic standard of the first season, but nonetheless, I digress.
It was better than 2, that's for sure.
It certainly was, but I like 2. Anywho, Netflix is bringing back Derek's favorite anime, Cowboy Bebop, as a live-action series, and they put out a trailer to much acclaim. Does this trailer and this series make them saints or sinners?
Oh my god, I hated this trailer.
I just included this so you could have a safe space to complain.
Yeah, so like I see the trailer drop online and I'm like seeing these reactions to it and I'm thinking, Oh my goodness, this must be good. Like people, I'm seeing like all sorts of freakouts. So I'm like, I watch it and it's like this is a piece of dog shit. Like they have like quips all over the place. The action looks really corny. It just looks like they made an anime and turned it into like a Marvel property. I just don't like
For
it.
me, it was when Jet Black pounds the wall to get that window blind to fall. Like that is not a cowboy. Like I saw people saying, well, Cowboy Bebop, like isn't always super serious.
Well, yeah, it's
But
goofy for
it
sure.
wouldn't. That's not like Cowboy Bebop humor. That's very much a Marvel thing. Like, oh, here's this very serious character, and some minor inconvenience bothers them.
No, the peak Marvel moment is when Spike holds Faye at gunpoint and he's like, "Can I kill her?" And Jed's like, "No, you can't kill her." Then they could cut to it again later on. It's like, "I really want to kill her." Like that, Spike would never
Yeah,
say that.
like Spike. I saw a lot of people who, as someone who hasn't watched the whole series, but I feel like I have enough to say that like Spike is more of a laid back character. Like his dialogue is much more subdued, and
He's goofy, but he's also like cool.
but he's not like in your
Like
face goofy. He's more reserved in a lot of situations. He's more dry.
whereas this guy is just like a big old cornball.
Yeah, this is
It's
very
like
corny. And Faye, I don't know. Like she does this thing with a gun that I think is just really like over the top. And she's as close as that show from what I've seen so far. Well, not including Ed, but she's more over the top than the two boys. But even then, it's not quite to that extent.
like her character was bad to me too. It's just
We're in
all
this
bad.
like really bad trailer culture where a trailer will come out and people see things they recognize and they'll just say, "Oh man, that just looks so great. This is gonna be so great." With really no receipts to show that it is actually going to be great. It's just like, well, I saw the thing from Cowboy Bebop. He's dressed like Spike, so this has won me over. This is great. I saw somebody saying like, "Oh, Jet's performance is so good." Like, how do you know? It's like it's such a short trailer.
The trailer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jet looks cool. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks.
I mean, of the three, he's the one I had the least issue with. Yeah.
Well, my problem is that they all look like cosplayers. This looks like a cosplay
Yeah.
movie to me.
I think when you take an anime and make it live action, you have to take some liberties with the designs. But just having them literally dress up in Halloween costumes is weird.
Well, yeah, Spike's costume looks like a Halloween costume. He just like looks silly. Vicious, they showed him, who's like one the main villain of the series, you could say. He looks stupid with his wig on. He just looks dumb. I don't know. Like I don't know how people could be excited for this. Like just watch the original.
My only theory is that they heard Tank, which is an amazing song and one of the best theme songs of all time. And, you could follow anything up after Tank and it would look great. So I just have to think they just saw that and turned their brains off. I'm like, oh, Tank! Yes!
Yeah, they should have called this song DPS instead. Got people talking. A little bit,
Yes,
huh?
I was more Rhett Pally.
Well, on the plus side, like I know Yoko Kanno is making the music for this series, so
Oh yeah,
the music
the music should be good.
will be on point. But that is really all. They haven't even shown Ed yet, which makes me think they're afraid to
Yeah.
show Ed.
Are you gonna watch it?
I've got to.
Okay.
I got to know.
Yeah, I figured that would be your position.
Because I watched the Netflix Death Note, and that was abysmal. But I watched
Yes, that was very corny, and I thought very poorly cast.
it extremely, and the artistic liberties they took were all bad. Especially Misa being the one to manipulate light, which is such a departure from terrible.
Yes.
But that's neither here nor there. That's not Cowboy Bebop related. Yeah, I think this looks like shit, and I hate that I'm like apparently one of the few people online that thinks it.
I know, I've been really surprised by the feedback, but like I said, I just have to assume it's a little bit of like, it's like Mass Effect Andromeda. You remember when the trailers came out for that, and everybody's like, oh my gosh. And it's like, well, you saw the name Mass Effect, and you saw like a Quarian. I just can't buy into any hype cycle anymore. It doesn't.
You had to go to the negative corners of the internet to see like the truth about Andromeda, and that's kind of what you have to do with this too.
Yeah.
Because if you go on, I hate to say it, if you go on 4chan, they'll tell you the truth about this fact.
I am naturally skeptical of everything. Like I was even skeptical of Dread and Mario Party Superstars. I was just nervous that they would both suck. So this makes me much more nervous than those.
Well, that should, because like with Dread and Mario Party, there wasn't anything in the trailers that would make you think this looks like shit. Like, this has stuff all over it that I'm like, oh my god, this is so corny.
Right. I was just not willing to. I saw the trailer and thought these look good, but they could just be showing the good stuff. To me, this trailer didn't show anything good, so it just makes me think everything else also sucks.
It's like when they make like a live action Evangelion or something, like Asuka's wisecracking left and right.
Stop it.
Making jokes.
Don't give them ideas.
It's not. I'm sure it'll happen.
Don't give them ideas.
I think Evangelion's right behind Bebop as far as Western
Tom
anime
Holland
popularity.
is Shinji.
I mean, that's probably what you would get.
Rupert Grint
Sadly.
is that one friend that Shinji has that's obsessed with the military.
That would be okay casting.
He's too old.
Rupert Grint is that guy. Is okay, even if he's old. Rupert Grint, like he's such a lame character. I think Rupert would play him quite well. But that's it. That's the only. Angelina Jolie is Misato.
That I can picture that now.
Oh boy. Well, I'm ready for it, baby. I could just go on and on about Evangelion casting, but
yes, we could. It's much like when they had the Zelda rumors. I would go on and on about the casting there, but
yes, Chris Pratt is Link.
Hopefully never that never happens.
Yes.
Video games are cooler than movies, and they should stop taking them and making them into movies.
Yes, I agree. They're different mediums, and you should start realizing that.
And one of them is better than the other right now. So
agreed.
But that's all. God. You were. I think we said sinners on that one. So you are free to go back to what you were doing.
3 going to hell, 1 moving on.
All right. Well, before I go, I just want to say, go Astros.
No.
Oh God.
We're not welcoming him back on.
No. Well, I didn't actually invite him. To be fair, he actually just kind of beckoned me from the clouds and told me he had some things to get off his chest.
Well, to be fair, by the time this show comes out, the Astros could be losing the World Series.
That's true. They could have.
Braves
lost
are up
by
3-1.
They are.
This recording.
What a beautiful time to be alive.
And no one listening to this cares about baseball, but it's important because my happiness is depending on this World Series.
Astros must lose.
I need the Braves to win.
They cannot be rewarded.
I suppose that'll do it for us this week. You can reach us on Twitter at alltodaypod or on email alltodaypodcast@gmail.com. This is Derek.
And this is Cheston.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.